Henry and the Quest for the Magical Flower. Once upon a time, in a forest filled with magical creatures, there lived a small squirrel named Henry. He had built a cozy nest high up in an old oak tree, where he spent his days gathering nuts and playing with his friends. But as winter came, the forest lost its vibrant colours and bustling life. The creatures grew sad and weary, longing for the warmth and happiness of spring. Henry, a kind and curious squirrel with a flair for adventure, had heard a tale of a magical flower that could bring joy and happiness back to the land by initiating the arrival of spring. Determined to help his friends and restore the forest's vitality, Henry embarked on a journey to find this magical flower. Henry shared his plan with the other animals in the forest, who encouraged him and wished him luck. "Go, Henry, we're cheering for you," they exclaimed, their voices filled with hope and excitement. As Henry explored the forest, he encountered various beautiful sceneries, from sunlit clearings filled with wildflowers to dense groves with ancient moss-covered trees. Along his journey, he came across a fragrant meadow where butterflies danced, and he paused for a moment to appreciate the delightful scene. On his journey, Henry had heard whispers about a wise old tortoise named Tilly, who could guide him to the enchanted glade. Following the directions he had gathered, Henry found Tilly sunbathing on a large flat rock beside a serene pond, surrounded by lush ferns and tall trees. Tilly had a reputation for her wisdom, and often shared stories and riddles with the younger animals of the forest. As Henry approached, Tilly opened one of her wise eyes and looked at the little squirrel with a gentle smile. "Ah, Henry, I've been expecting you," she said in a slow, calm voice. "You're on a quest to find the enchanted glade and the magical flower, aren't you?" Henry nodded eagerly. "Yes, Tilly, I want to restore happiness and life to our forest. Can you help me?" Tilly pondered for a moment and then shared a special phrase with Henry that would help him find the magical place. "In the heart of the forest, where the sun's rays glisten, a hidden glade awaits if you pause to listen. Follow the path where the whispers breeze, through a tunnel of roots, to a secret with ease." Tilly gave him a map that showed the general area of the enchanted glade, but not the exact location. She explained that the phrase held the secret to finding the precise spot of the enchanted glade, and Henry would need to trust himself and the wisdom of the forest to uncover its meaning. "Remember, young squirrel, the forest will guide you if you keep your heart open and your senses sharp." Henry thanked Tilly for her guidance, wisdom, and the map, promising to remember the phrase and to trust in the wisdom of the forest. With renewed determination, he continued his journey, excited to face the challenges that awaited him on his quest for the magical flower. Following Tilly's guidance and using the map, Henry ventured deeper into the forest, searching for more clues to help him find the enchanted glade. As he followed a narrow path, he came across a babbling brook with crystal-clear water flowing over smooth, colourful pebbles. The brook sang a beautiful, soothing melody that seemed to guide Henry along his journey. Listening closely to the brook's song, Henry heard the words, "Sometimes the answer you seek is hidden in plain sight." He couldn't quite make sense of the mysterious phrase, but he thanked the babbling brook and decided to follow its course, hoping it would lead him closer to the magical flower. As Henry ventured further into the mystical forest, he stumbled upon a field of singing flowers that swayed gently in the breeze. These flowers were unlike any he had seen before. They had petals of brilliant hues that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight, and they sang in perfect harmony with each other. As he approached the flowers, their enchanting voices filled the air with a melody that sounded like a chorus of flutes and chimes. The singing flowers were able to communicate with each other and the creatures of the forest through their captivating songs. Each flower had a unique voice, and together They produced a symphony that resonated through the trees, spreading peace and joy to all who heard it. "Welcome, brave squirrel," sang the flowers. "We sense your pure heart and your love for the forest. Remember to listen to the world around you and to trust in the wisdom that lies within." Henry was mesmerized by the beauty of the singing flowers and felt his heart swell with happiness as he listened to their enchanting melodies. He thanked them for their kindness and asked for their help in finding the enchanted glade. "Follow the path where the sun's rays glisten," the flowers sang in unison. "Listen to the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves, and they will guide you to your destination." Henry thanked the singing flowers and continued on his journey, following the path where the sun's rays glisten. He listened carefully to the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves, which led him through the mystical forest. As the surroundings grew more enchanting with each step he took, the trees seemed to stand taller, their leaves shimmering with a hint of magic, and the air was filled with the melodious songs of birds. As he continued to follow the path, Henry noticed that the sun's rays danced through the leaves, creating a mesmerizing play of light and shadow. Recalling Tilly's words, he realized he had found the place where the sun's rays glisten, and he couldn't help but feel excited that he was getting closer to the enchanted glade. Finally, after a long and adventurous journey, Henry found himself standing at the entrance of the enchanted glade. The sight before him was breathtaking. The flowers were the most vibrant he had ever seen, their colours radiant and mesmerising. The air was filled with the sweet scent of nectar, and the sound of rustling leaves seemed to whisper a gentle welcome. Henry hesitated for a moment, taking in the beauty of the glade before venturing further in. He felt a sense of awe and wonder, knowing that he was finally close to finding the magical flower that could restore happiness and colour to the forest he called home. As Henry ventured further into the enchanted glade, he spotted the magical flower glowing softly at the centre. Beside the flower, he saw a wise and noble fox who was known as the guardian of the magical flower. The fox had been entrusted with the important task of ensuring that only the right person or creature could access the flower's power to initiate spring, as its energy could only be released once per year. Upon noticing Henry, the fox spoke in a warm and gentle voice. "Greetings, young squirrel. I am the guardian of the magical flower, and it is my duty to protect it and make sure it is used wisely. You have come a long way, but I must make sure that you are the one destined to bring happiness and joy back to the forest by welcoming spring." The kind-hearted fox then proposed a challenge to Henry. "To prove your worthiness, you must complete 3 tasks. If you succeed, you will be allowed to take the magical flower and use its power to restore the forest. However, if you fail, you must leave the glade and never return." Henry, determined to save his beloved forest, agreed to the challenge. He trusted in the wisdom of his new friends and the lessons they had shared along the way, and felt ready to prove that he was the one destined to bring spring and happiness back to the forest. Henry took a deep breath and focused, preparing himself to tackle the challenges that lay ahead. For the first task, the guardian fox presented him with a puzzle made from leaves and twigs. He carefully examined the pieces, and after some trial and error, he successfully fit them together to form the shape of a beautiful tree. The guardian fox nodded, impressed by Henry's determination and patience. For the second task, Henry was asked to find a hidden gem in a maze-like burrow filled with tunnels. He relied on his memory of the map that Tilly the wise tortoise had given him, as well as the lessons he had learned from the singing flowers about listening to the world around him. As he carefully navigated the tunnels, Henry paid close attention to the whispers of the wind and the rustling of leaves. With patience and perseverance, he finally discovered the hidden gem, much to the guardian fox's delight. The final task was a game of riddles. The fox presented Henry with a riddle that seemed impossible to solve. Often held, but never touched, always wet, but never rusts, often bites, but seldom bit. To use me well, you must have wit. What am I? When the guardian fox presented Henry with the riddle, he recalled the babbling brook's advice. Sometimes the answer you seek is hidden in plain sight. With this hint in mind, he pondered the riddle and focused on the words he had spoken during his journey. Finally, he had an epiphany and confidently replied, "A tongue." The guardian fox, impressed by Henry's wisdom and his ability to remember the lessons he had learned from his forest friends, smiled warmly and said, "You have completed my tasks and proved yourself worthy. You may take the magical flower and use its power to bring spring back to our forest." Henry gently plucked a single blossom from the magical flower, knowing that this small piece would be enough to bring joy and happiness back to the forest. As he held the blossom in his tiny paws, he felt a surge of warmth and energy, and he knew that the magic of the flower would help him fulfill his quest. The forest, which had been gripped by a cold and lifeless winter, started to awaken with the vibrant hues and energy of spring. Trees that had once been withered and bare were now lush and green, their leaves rustling happily in the breeze. Flowers blossomed in a burst of colours, filling the air with sweet fragrances. The guardian fox, touched by Henry's courage and wisdom, vowed to become a loyal friend and protector of the enchanted glade. It promised to watch over the magical flower, ensuring that its power would continue to thrive and bring life to the forest for generations to come. When Henry finally returned to his home in the old oak tree, his friends eagerly gathered around him to hear the tale of his adventure. As he recounted the story, he proudly held up the magical blossom, which shimmered with a radiant light that filled their hearts with happiness and hope. The animals of the forest rejoiced as they watched the magical blossom work its wonders. The once barren branches began to sprout fresh leaves, and flowers bloomed in every corner of the forest. The air filled with the melodies of birdsong and the laughter of joyful animals as life and colour returned to their home. With the arrival of spring, the forest was transformed into a paradise of vibrant hues and lush greenery. The magical blossom had restored the happiness and vitality that the creatures had so dearly missed during the long, cold winter months. And so, the once winter-stricken forest flourished once more, its inhabitants living happily together, forever grateful for the bravery and determination of their small but mighty hero, Henry the Squirrel.